Welcome Survivor! This video is going to cover how to set up a dedicated hosted server for the zombie survival game No One Survived, currently out in early access. This specifically references a leased server. In other words, someone else owns it, manages it, pays for the upgrades, electricity, network and all that, and you pay a few bucks for their trouble. If you are instead looking for a dedicated local server setup guide, don't worry, I've made one of those as well. If that's what you're after, check the description below the video and follow my link and check out that video of how to get that set up. So why a hosted server versus a local server? Well, to not spend too much time on it, if you're only doing occasional sessions with friends, a local dedicated server works awesome. However, if you want the server to be up 24/7 for a group, maybe small, maybe large, of people, it's normally always worthwhile to go for a leased option. For the cost of a couple of coffees from Starbucks a month, you save yourself a whole lot of headache. But who am I? I'm Vidui42, of course. I've been doing game guides, especially game server setup guides, for years across many games, and I've just convinced PingPerfect to add No One Survived to their server farms. For full disclosure, I am nowadays partnered with PingPerfect, but I have been running many game servers there for years with great results. I do have an affiliate link provided below, along with a 10% recurring discount code that, if you use it, does support my content with a couple of bucks. At no expense to you, only savings, as 10% recurring does add up over time. And who doesn't like saving money? So the first thing you want to do is follow my link, which brings you to PingPerfect. And actually, my discount code will work for all of their game servers, so it's not restricted just to No One Survived. I mean, I've been running Ark, I've been running 7 Days to Die, and it's Rust, actually, Scum, Valheim, and just so many games out there. But in this case, we're going to go down here to view all the game servers, and we're going to search for No One Survived. And this will pop up when we click on that. This takes us to the No One Survived server hosting. If you're not 100% sure, if you're sort of just, you want to test it out, you've been using another host that you're not that happy with, you can actually request a 48-hour trial. But either way, the setup steps are the same. So you can choose to pay in pound or in US dollars or euro. Normally I do US dollars because, well, that's easier for me for my PayPal. There are a bunch of standard features that PingPerfect provides. Instant server setup, it takes a few minutes at most. Global locations, we'll look at that a little bit in a while, but there's a lot of locations across the globe that you can select for your server. Choose one that fits you and your gaming group. Normally, I do mine in the West Side US, even though I'm in Asia, because most of my players are in North America and Europe. Full backup system, they take backup of everything, they have enterprise hardware, money back guaranteed if you're not happy. You get actual free web hosting if you want to run that, I do that. If you want to access through FTP file browser, depends on which game, not all of them support this. Free debranding if you want to, well, if you don't want to save a little bit of money. Good customer support, really important. The game panel, we're going to go through that one, how to manage things. If you want to switch to a different game server, well, you just contact them and ask them to switch to a different one. I do that all the time. When I've finished one game server, I switch to another one. DDoS protection, very important as well. You can do this on the PC, mobile, etc., etc. But let's go on. We're going to select it from $116 US per month per slot. And this brings us to the configure page. Now, we have the order somewhere on the right side, so keep an eye on that. It depends on what options you actually select. In this case, I would suggest go for quarterly. It gives you an additional 5% discount. If you want to do semi-annually or annually, you can do that as well. You get even more discounts. If nothing else, go quarterly for those extra 5%. Location, we talked about that. And if you look through the list here, there's so many different locations. Some of them might be sold out simply because they have a higher draw to those ones for the moment. But select one that it works for you. If you do run into a sold out that is the only one next to you, you can actually chat and talk to the customer support. In this case, let's say I'm going to do USA Atlanta. And if we want to do branding by PingPerfect, you'll notice here they actually knock off a little bit of money as well, simply by branding it as PingPerfect.com hosted. If you want to have it on an SSD, then just leave it. If you want to have it at NVMe, which is a little bit faster, you can upgrade to that as well. If you want to have more support, you can pay for that as well. Normally, up to 8 GB is free. If you find yourself needing a lot more, you could later on upgrade. I wouldn't do that beginning because you wouldn't need to. CPU priority, normal priority is normally just fine. Some people do want to have a even better experience by upgrading. Normally should be just fine. And we're going to just put in test bed here, and we'll see that we have a cost of $31.07 quarterly, which is about $10 per month. And we're going to hit
A few moments later.
And there I had my young daughter come in and interrupt my recording. She wanted a hug and a kiss and asked, why did you lock the door? Anyway, coming back here, order summary. $31 is over a quarter, so it's about $10 per month, which is very, very affordable. And Pink Perfect is actually really good in that sense. If you compare them to a lot of other game server hosters, they're really, really good value for money. We're going to hit continue here. We get to the review and checkout, and again, double check so you get the correct location. Even if you get something wrong, you can always fix it later on. It's just easier if you get everything right. Go down here, type in VDUI, validate the code, and you will be getting your discount as well applied to your order. In this case, 10% recurring, so it's every single month. Then you hit checkout. Now on the checkout page, if you've never used Pink Perfect, you do have to create an account in order to attach it to. You can then pay with credit card, PaySafe, PayPal, etc., etc. Just put in your details, agree and everything, and complete the order. What happens now? Well, keep an eye on your email box because you'll be getting a bunch of emails. One, they'll give you an invoice, they'll give you an order confirmation and stuff like that, and they'll basically be telling you that, hey, they're setting things up on their side. Don't log in yet, let everything set up, and they will send you a couple of mails with information of how to log into your server. So go grab yourself a coffee. Normally, for them to get the server set up in the back, it takes only a couple of minutes, but get yourself some coffee. After a while, in my case, it took 3 minutes. You'll get 2 emails that you want to look for. One that tells you that the game server has been created with the information of the IP, the port, and stuff like that. Also, your user that you're going to be using. In addition, you'll get a second email which has the game panel details and the password. So go grab that one and click that link, which should be gamepanel.pinkperfect.com. Type in your username and your password. And you'll end up here, which is the game panel. If you have multiple game services, you'll actually end up in a listing where you can select from among these multiple game servers that you have. First thing we want to do, always stop the service because it started as part of the setup and we don't want that. Now you have different options down here and I'm going to go through them in some details. We have the configuration files, which you need to configure. You have file manager if you do want to access some of the files there. Mods and things like that tend to require you to access the file system. If you want to check the logs, you can do that. If you want to update the server, which you will need once there's an update of the game, then you need to update the server as well. You can schedule tasks in order to set your backups and everything. And if you want to ban IPs and stuff like that, you can do that. Backup, we're going to do that as well. First thing, let's go to configuration files. There you have the main configuration file. We're going to do the text editor. I think the config editor is not fully done. You can decide things like which day it is, if it's going to be a gift bag. In this case, I'm going to change it to bed test 1. Server name, I'm going to leave it as testbed. Max players equals 10. That's the default. That's what you're paying for, so don't change that one. There's actually more settings that are shown here. These are just the bare minimum. I'm going to leave a link to the local dedicated setup, which actually has a good explanation of more of these game settings. But you'll see here basically there's a lot more if they're going to be attacking, the zombie strength, and you're going to permadeath. And specifically, what I am going to be putting in here is password. So I'm going to copy that over and put that in here. I'm going to have password is true, and I'm going to leave the password as 12345. Again, check the link below, which is basically provided by the creator, which has information about what the settings are that you can apply to your server. But in this case, we're going to do that. We're going to do save and exit. I'm going to go back to the main server page here. I'm going to hit update your server from Steam. In this case, it should be the latest version, but if you do notice that you can't connect or your client is pinging you for an update, it basically normally means that you need to update your server as well, because otherwise you will not be able to connect and play. But all this should be working by itself. Just wait for it to finish. When the process is completed, you can go back again to your server. Very useful is to make sure you are backupping your saved data. If you don't do that, it means that if there is a corruption or something, and maybe there's a hacker that is griefing you, you're out of luck because you don't have a save. So I would definitely suggest go in and back up your save data. A better way than doing it manually is to have a scheduled task. We're going to click on schedule task here, and we're going to do new, and we're going to do a scheduled backup, new, I'm going to name it backup. I'm going to have it not one time. We're going to have it, let's say, weekly. I'm going to have on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sundays. And basically just have it at 5:26, whatever. And we can change that if we want to. So we can say 11 a.m. on this, starting on this date, and save. It basically means the game server host will automatically be shutting down your game, taking a backup, and restarting it at these times and dates that you have specified. Really useful. I would definitely suggest making use of this scheduled task functionality. If you do run into issues, you can actually restore the save data, assuming you've actually backed something up. You just hit the restore save data and then select between the different ones that you have from the past. And if you just want to reset and restart over, you can do that as well. But for now, I think we're good. We've configured it, we've updated it, make sure it's the latest one, and we're going to hit start. So the service was started successfully. It's going to take some time as it gets up in the background. If you want to, you can go have a look at the different logs here as well. And if you run into issues, looking at the logs is generally a good way to at least get an idea of what could have gone wrong. But bear in mind, this is early access and they've just launched the dedicated server. I believe it was end of February. So a lot of these things are not fully formed yet. They're still working on it. So the usability of the logs might still be needing improvements. So let's connect and check it out. Now you want to go to the multiplayer. And after that, you want to select your character because you do need to have a character. And you want to go down to private server. Now, if it doesn't work the first time, it generally tells you that, hey, it needs to restart and then it'll work. That's actually what happened to me. The first time I accessed it, it was just empty. I couldn't find my server. And it tells you to basically restart the client and then it should show up. So we're going to hit private server here. You'll get to a listing. And we're going to do a test bed because that's actually what it was named. And there we go. We have testbed by pinkperfect.com. There's no players on it. We're going to hit it. Then we're going to do join in. It's asking me for the password, which was 12345. Confirm. It's loading in. And we're in the game already. Look at how fast that was. And this allows you to play. And when you're done, you basically just... Oh, actually, I've never... Huh. Someone made a base here? No, never mind. Once you've played, you basically just escape and you quit and leave the game, but the server will still be running. I believe as of now, time in the server... Oh, it's the trader. All right. Time on the server will be halted while no one is online. So it will wait for one of your friends or yourself to come back into the game, and then it will continue running. So the zombies won't be running around and destroying your base when you're not around. Everything will be waited. It looks like a little bit like Gen. Are you like a Gen 2.0? Have you played 7 Days to Die? But see how easy it is. It's really easy to get up and running and play with your friends. Again, I do want to highlight this is early access and they've just launched the dedicated servers. So do expect there to be a bunch of updates and a bunch of improvements as we go along. But for now, try it out with your friends. As always, if you have issues with the game, go to the Steam discussion forums and ask there for any help. If you have specific issues with Pink Perfect, you can actually hit Get Support and it'll take you to where you can raise a support request. Let's say you want to switch to another game. So let's say you're having some issues with the server not working. They might be able to give you some information, or you have questions about specific functionality that they provide. Just open a ticket and provide the information or the query there, and they will get back to you. So do take note below. I will leave the link to Pink Perfect with my affiliate link, and take note of the discount code for 10% recurring. Go and enjoy it, save yourself some money, and have fun with the game. See you next time.